Hello everyone, my name is Shyam Manavat and I welcome all of you once again to the series of functions. We are in lecture number 5 in which we are going to discuss what are inverse function, how to find the inverse function for any given function. So let's get started. So let me show you with example how to find the inverse function of a given function. It's not any type of function, we find the inverse of any given function. So even inverse function is that can be expressed in form of f, and here you will see kind of a power as -1 of the same. Yeah, you know what does it mean here? If you remember that first lecture of function where I have shown you what the function is like a machine which has one input and you get some output, right? So when if you find this to be reversed, where the output will become input and input will become output, okay? Yeah, the output will become input and the input will become output, then it will become inverse function. So if this is f of x, my god, how do I draw this x, man? Okay, here, and here it will be f of, this is inverse, this will be inverse function. Okay, that's how it operates. And if you don't understand what am I talking about here, input output, please go through the first lecture of functions. Let's see how do we find the inverse function. So what do we do? A general pattern, it's very easy. I'm sure if I explain this one question, you will be able to do for rest of them. So if you see f of x as 2x plus 1, so what do you do? First of all, you take this f of x as another variable, let's say y, for example, y. Usually we take y because y is dependent variable. F of x is also dependent variable, you know. So f of x, y, one of the same thing. Here, if I take this here y, so 2x plus 1, then what you do, you take all the values towards the other side and you should have only x here, and here we should see the expression in terms of y. So if you simplify this way, if I take 1 here, it will be y minus 1, yeah, y minus 1, and then here if I take 2, it will become 2x, so y minus 1 divided by 2. Yeah, okay, so far so good. Yeah, it's easy. Now x, which was supposed to be an input, and y, which is supposed to be an output of the original function, now we have the this expression in terms of y. X is equal to an expression in terms of y, input equal to an expression in terms of output. Now if you change this all, you will get inverse function. See, so after this what you need to do, don't get confused here, so please pay attention. After this what you do, you convert this, instead of x you write this x, you replace this x as inverse and this y as x. Here many students get confused. Okay, that's the way of writing, inverse function. That's the way of writing inverse function, where the input will become output and output will become input. Yeah, so what you do, step number 1, instead of f of x you consider y and you have the expression here, then you find the value of x in terms of y, replace x as inverse function and replace y as x, and you got the answer. Yeah, so now here the y, which is supposed to be output for the original function, now this will become what? Input. X is usually input, so x become what? The y, which is supposed to be an output for the original function. Now when I replace y with x, so that will become input. What is x in a function? What is x? X is the input, right? When you have f of x, correct? And x, which is supposed to be an input of the original function, now here instead of this we replace here, so this is supposed to be what? Output now. Did you understand? Yeah, this become output now. What I am trying to say, suppose if I want to find out f inverse of 2, so 2 become input, right? And so here I will substitute 2, here I will substitute 2. right? So here this x which was y earlier, the x which was y earlier, y which was supposed to be the output earlier, now y is taking the value. That means y replaced with x. So now y is taking the value. Basically x is taking the value. So that become what? Input now. Clear? Yeah. So f inverse of 2 is 2 minus 1 by 2, right? And then you get the output. That's 1 upon 2 inverse. So this is the output. Yeah, this is the output, right? This is the output. Yeah, f inverse 2, you got 1 by 2 as the output. Did you understand this? Yes, no? Please tell me. Yeah, so input become output and output become input. If you are not able to understand this complexity of it, don't worry, nobody is going to ask you in this much in detail. You just need to understand how to find the inverse function. So steps are very easy. Let's try once again. Let's try once again for this question. So here we have for f of x equal to, here let me write this properly for you, 2 upon x minus 1, and we need to find out inverse function. Okay, so what do we do here? पहले हम क्या करेंगे? Let's say this f of x is nothing but y and y equal to 2 by x minus 1. So we have, ध्यान से समझना, we have value of y in terms of x. Value of y in terms of x. We want value of x in terms of y. उल्टा करना है अपने को. So that's, then we'll have inverse function. So simplify this. What do we get? Let me multiply this x minus 1 here, and let me take the y in the denominator this side. So here you have x minus 1 equal to 2 upon y. If I take this minus 1 to the right hand side, I get x is equal to 2 upon y plus 1. Simplify कर लो, x is equal to कितना हुआ? This is y denominator and cross multiply कर लो इसको. So you get what? 2 plus y, right? So what do you get here? X is equal to 2 plus, ये वापस से क्यों लिख रहा हूँ मैं, but ठीक है. Yeah, x is equal to 2 plus y upon y. अब हम लोगों ने जैसे previous question में किया, as we have done in the previous question, we replace this y with x and we'll call this x as f inverse of x. Okay, ये जो आपका input था, x was input here, x was input in this question, in this expression, x जो input था और f of x output था, इसको हमें उल्टा करना है, इन्वर्स करना है. या सो उल्टा करना है, मतलब f of x को अब हम लोग बोलेंगे, x को अब हम लोग बोलेंगे x, सॉरी कट कट कट, ये वाला बात फिर से बोलता हूँ. ओके, मतलब x को अब हम लोग बोलेंगे f इनवर्स ऑफ x एंड देन y विल रिप्लेस विथ x. बिकॉज समझो यार, यहाँ पे y तो हमारा assumption है ना, ये y तो हमारा assumption है. इन क्वेश्चन देयर इज नो y, it's only x and x as the variable. So here also at the end we should write only in terms of x. So y we have just used it to simplify to get the expression. All right. So here f inverse of x is equal to 2 plus x by x. I hope this is clear. This way x जो input था अब वो बन गया है output, और यहाँ पे y was what, nothing but f of x, right? f of x जो output था वो बन गया अब input. Okay, that's how you get inverse function. Let's solve one more example. Yes. Okay, one more question quickly. Let's do this. So, okay, right, yeah, right. Pause this video and try doing it by yourself and let's match the answer. Here what do? Replace this as y. Here I have 3x square plus 2. Now what am I going to do? I take everything this side, so I got 3x square here, which is equal to y minus 2, and here I get x square, which is equal to y minus 2 by 3, right? And if I see x, that will become square root of y minus 2 by 3. Now what do I have? Square root. I got the answer. X replaced with inverse, y replaced with x, and that's the last step to write the inverse function. Did you understand? Yes? Did you understand this? Great, brilliant. Yes, that's the inverse function. So I hope you understood the inverse function concept. Now what are we going to discuss in the next lecture? Okay, in the next lecture we are going to discuss domain and range. So stay tuned, we have got one more concept and then we are going to discuss some exam questions also. So stay tuned. Yeah. Fine. So this is it in today's video. My name is Shyam Manavat signing off. I will see you in the next lecture. Till then, stay happy, stay healthy. Bye bye.